At the moment for community radio stations, like most other voluntary sector community organisations, it's a tough old time. I don't think we ever thought that we'd have something like 200 community radio stations licensed with no real access to money from a fund like a community radio fund. When we lobbied for community radio licences, we lobbied for a fund which gave a certain amount of money for core costs, which was not just the £450,000 that's available to the 200 stations now. We were looking at something around a £30,000 per station as an annual income, something like that, that gave you the continuity of a member of staff or your electricity bills paid, whatever you wanted to use it for, but gave you something that you could build on. And I don't think that we shouldn't have to work to get our money. We should have to find local sources of money, but because we are a community station, we should want that support from our local community. But at the same time, we never envisaged that it would be this hard to find money, and it is hard for lots of stations at the moment. It is tough times. So if you're asking me 5 years ago, I would have a different sort of set of solutions probably, but some of them would stay the same. And I think the thing that we need to be really sure about is who we are and what we do well. And I think the temptation is to lunge after anything that's out there. And it can set the station off on a route which is really detrimental. And I remember being somewhere where there was a community radio station that was talking about, in response I was talking about one of the projects that we do get funded for is working with young people from the pupil referral unit who need alternative education, and we've got a really good relationship here in Bradford with the pupil referral unit and work with those young people. It's an important part of our work, and it feels like a good thing to be doing. And I was talking about this and suggesting to other stations that might look at that as a their own areas and look at who they could build relationships with. And somebody said to me, do you let the young people broadcast? And that just, have I heard this right? Do you let the young people broadcast? And I said, well, of course. I said, they're producing radio programmes, that's what we're working with them towards, and of course they're on air. He said, oh, I said, because we used to have young people on the station, but the advertisers didn't like the programming, so we've had to stop it. And at which point my heart sank. I thought, I've worked now for a lot of years and campaigned for community radio, for somebody to say, do you let people broadcast? Do you let them on air? And because of that editorial control from the advertisers. And I know we've got to find money, and I'm not against commercial income at all, but we've really got to think at what price. Really got to think about whether that's the right way forward for the station. And if you do think about what you're really good at and what you can offer, and we have to be creative, and we have to think about laterally about what we offer, who we can offer it to, but not moving away from your core business, I think, is really, really important. And and it is hard when you're struggling. You're looking at deficit budgets. You're looking at how do we manage all these small projects and bits of work that we've got. And it is hard. It's much easier if you've got one big grant or one big funding pot or contract, whatever it is that you're working towards. And at the moment, we've got lots of different funding streams. It might be for working with young people or older people, or migrant groups, or whoever it might be, but they're much smaller pieces of funding, and they all take managing, and that's hard. That is hard, but there's nothing that we're doing at the moment that isn't absolutely part of our core work. And as hard as it is to make sure we're delivering on all the projects that we're doing, I'm really proud that they're all contributing to the radio station, and that's what I think is really important for an organisation to remember.